Hey guys, it's Corson Schmidt. I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. Sara Morosan is joining me today from LGE-CTS Motorsports. Sara is a Wow. I'm going to restart that. I'm trying to say trailblazer in the automotive industry. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay. I'll start from the top. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's Corson Schmidt. I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. Sara Morosan is joining me today from LGE-CTS Motorsports. Sara is a trailblazer in the automotive industry, born and raised in a family deeply rooted in the trade. At just 13, she helped her father build her first car, a 1970 Chevy El Camino, sparking a lifelong love for custom vehicles. By 16, Sara launched her own business, customtrucks.com, where she grew rapidly and evolved into LGE-CTS Motorsports. Sara's dedication extends beyond business. She is an active volunteer with Sema, serving on multiple committees, including the Sema Cares Select Committee and the Sema Business Women's Network, where she currently chairs. Her efforts focus on mentoring youth, promoting STEM education, and inspiring the next generation of automotive enthusiasts. True advocate for community and industry growth, Sara's story is one of innovation, leadership, and giving back. It's great to have you on, Sara.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thanks for that great introduction. It seems like you pretty much already know everything about me. No.
No, we'll get a little bigger awesome in the details.
Yes, definitely.
I'm excited to get to know you.
Yes, I am Sara Morosan. I own LGE-CTS Motorsports. Like you mentioned, it started off as customtruckshop.com. And in 96, basically, when we started the website, and, I was 16, so I was going to high school and running. My dad had asked me, like, obviously I had to get a job, I had to pay for that El Camino that I built with my dad. And so basically, like, my dad used to paint SEMA vehicles all the time, and a lot of the companies would trade him product instead of giving him money for the builds. So he would have all this product laying around, and I was like, oh, I'm going to all these mini truck shows or all of these different events every weekend and going to swap meets or whatever, and I'm like, I can sell the parts there. Or then I was like, oh, I'll just put it on a website. But back then there wasn't like Google searches and stuff, so people had to physically type in it's something in the actual search bar. So I was like, what's the easiest thing to do? And I was like, oh, customtruckshop.com. So we started off with that. In 98, when I graduated high school, I got a little bay inside my dad's auto body shop, and we were I was doing installs now, and like had a little tiny counter with some like product in it and a desk. So it was like very small, but I was excited about it. And 2001, we opened the brick and mortar store, which was a 5,000 square foot shop. And we actually had a showroom, and so it was cool. And we did a car show, open house type thing to like get it going. But it was a lot, and it was interesting to see, like, to be creative and figure out like how the industry works, and going in and asking warehouse distributors to give me terms for like 60 or 90 days so that I could have like product in my showroom and being able to turn it around, and like trying to figure all that out. So that's kind of where that all started and evolved. And then my parents owned an auto body shop called LNG Enterprises, and they were doing all the paint and body work. And then my sister started working there. She used to be a machinist, and then when she was pregnant, she couldn't be around machines anymore, so she came to work for the family company. So she was doing custom paint jobs, and I was doing all the accessories and builds, but people didn't know we were the same company because we'd be featured in magazines all the time for tech articles, and then we'd be featured in magazines for the auto body side for the build. But like people didn't know we were the same brand. So in 2011, we decided to combine our names and be one shop. So that's why it's the LGE-CTS Motorsports now, is what we came up with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of a very brief, like, how our business side worked. But, and then, after, and we started doing a lot of builds. We do a lot of Sema builds.
I was just going to ask you, just to give the audience a little rundown on kind of what you guys offer and what you guys do at LGE-CTS, just so they have a little idea.
Yeah, so we do, we kind of are like a broad range of like what we do. And we do anything from like, full custom builds, right? Like, if a manufacturer comes to us with a concept vehicle or is looking for something for like their marketing or for the SEMA show, we'll build that car for them and come up with some ideas. We even go as far as being like on-site mechanics for them as well if it's like a bigger thing. So like we've done that for like eBay Motors. We'll build their vehicles and then we're on-site mechanics. Like we drove out to Colorado. We're there making sure the vehicles are running the whole entire time because they're paying all this money for marketing, and they want to make sure the vehicles are continuing to run and perform and be at the top shape. So we'll do things like that, and then we'll go into also like anywhere from doing like we have like signature builds or we have custom builds that we do, and customers will see that and they'll ship their vehicles to us and we can build that build package for them, or we can sell them the build package and hopefully recommend somebody in their area to do the build. And then we also do anything from standard lift kit, wheels, tires, from just customer comes in and wants steps or bed lids. So like I said, we're kind of a broad range, but we kind of do it all. But for me, like, the whole reason I do builds, or the part I love about the retail, and the whole reason I got into it, I love it that people like they're passionate about something or they get excited about a project that they've wanted like their whole life, or this is going to be some adventure for them, or they just always wanted this vehicle, or if it's a company and it's helping them grow and get their ideas out there. I love being a part of that, like being able to like put it together for them, right? Like
that's all. Yeah, for sure. Like especially someone young like me, I've grown up, I've seen what my father's always dreamt of having as a vehicle. And say he got the chance to find that vehicle and you guys could help him build it. You're just getting just as much joy as he would getting the car built.
Yeah, because there's the people that like they want to do it, they want the experience, but they don't know how to physically do it. They don't know how to put it together. So we want to make sure that when we're working with our customers, it can be as hands-on or hands-off as they want. Like some customers just are like, I'm going to pay you, build something, send it to us, and we do that. And then there's other people that are like, they want it to be a father-son experience or, father-daughter experience. So like, we try to involve them in every step, or they can come down to the shop at any point, and we go through the vehicle with them. So we want to make sure that like, we're giving our customers the extra customer experience because that's what they're excited about and they want to be a part of it, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Especially touching on if it's say a father-daughter or father-son build, and you can bring them in to experience that. That's a huge experience for them. They get to know a little bit about the automotive if maybe they didn't know so much, and it just brings you as the owner, the guys in the shop, and the family closer together, and they can see every little detail and what's going into it, and I think that's super exciting.
Yeah, and I think the parent gets just as excited, like seeing their kids get excited about something.
Definitely.
And like this past summer, we had built a truck for a close friend of ours, and it was his father-in-law's truck, and they were giving it to, their son, and it was like, they wanted to keep a lot of things like, okay, we want to fix all these things up, but we still want it to be like nostalgic, so it's still his like grandfather's truck. And so it's like those kind of things too, where you're like, it's so cool that people want to hold on to these things that are memories or that they mean something as well too. And we get people also that are, ready for retirement, and now they have enough money to build the car they always wanted to build since they were 16 and just have never had the opportunity or the funds to do it. And now that they do, and then they get to go out and use the car. So it's great because it's like they get all excited about it. And then I'm getting text messages all the time of like, them at a car show with their car, or them like like off-roading or doing something. And it's like, those are the best things to get from customers.
Definitely. No, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
You guys really do a bit of everything. So you guys kind of do a little bit of the resto mod. You do a lot of off-road stuff as well, from what I've seen.
Yeah, we specialize in off-road and overlanding. That's like my passion, because we grew up off-roading, going to Baja, going to Glamis, out to Johnson Valley, like to Moab and Colorado. And so we always grew up like in more of like the desert off-road and the rock crawling scene. So that's like, that's our thing. Like we've always loved going to the desert, and to the mountains and stuff. So we've like, I don't know, it's funny because like when overlanding came to this thing, it was like, oh, we've been doing camping or things like that like our whole life. But I understand like it's a more like go out way more remote. But our family used to go to Colorado every August, and we'd go out for 2 weeks, and we would go with like a group, and we would I remember we would hit trails pretty much everywhere, and we'd fish, and we would just camp out, and it was awesome. And I kind of thought everyone did that as a kid. Like, and then I found out they don't, so it's just always been in our blood. We've always loved it. It's something we've always been passionate about. Our family lives, like we have family members that live in San Felipe, so we would always go to Mexico, and grew up in those deserts. So it's that kind of stuff was just always ingrained in us, and we love it. So yeah, we're more on the off-road and overlanding side. That's our passion.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, I built a 70 El Camino for my first car.
That's awesome.
We've always, we'll build classic cars. We're kind of in anything, right? Because I don't know, everything's cool if it has wheels and a motor.
Yeah, literally. The custom automotive industry is such a broad industry, and that's kind of what you guys tailor to.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So going back to a little bit of your background, I saw when I was on your website that you took a business course. How did your education in business and marketing influence your approach to running LGE-CTS Motorsports?
Yeah, so I wasn't one of those people that I'm like, oh, I need to go to college and then start my company. I kind of just like dove into it.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had to have some education. I just wasn't interested in all of the education. So I went to, my local city college, and I took I took accounting classes, I took marketing classes, I took any business marketing, accounting class that I could take that I knew I was going to need for knowledge for my shop. And then I also took, they have I took the automotive classes as well too.
Okay.
I already knew I'm going to say I already knew probably about 90% of the stuff they taught in the class. But I was very I need to learn. I need to get the certificate though, so that people know. And then at the end I was like, wait, it's just like a tech certificate for me to work at a dealership? And I'm like, well, everything was aftermarket. And the second day I was at the school, my teacher was like, I need you to stay after and take this test. And I took the test, and I was like, okay, so what does this mean? He's like, you just passed the final and you're only in your second day. I was like, oh, and I'm like, well, I've been around automotive my whole life. So like, I have a concept for it, but it was cool. So I still took it, so I knew how to do alignments properly on an actual machine instead of like, because we always did them on the ground with, plates and strings.
Take measures. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, so,
I know exactly what you mean.
Learning new techniques, it was cool. So I did do that. But yeah, those classes were very helpful because just learning how to use basic accounting, tools for your business is so key for anything. So everyone goes like, oh, I'm passionate about cars, but they don't realize like you still have to run the business part of it because no one's going to come to you unless they know about you, right?
I think that's a lot of shops as well especially now because it's the older generation are starting to get out of it. Yeah. They're the ones that they just knew how to work on vehicles. They didn't know how to run a business. So they're surviving now, but I think in the next 10 to 20 years, they're going to be the ones slowly dying because they don't know how to run a business with how crazy the industry is changing, like with AI and everything. It's all putting a big impact on the industry.
Yeah, and for me, like, I'm constantly learning. Like, I never stop. Like, I'm always listening to, like, different business classes, different marketing classes, different, it's like as soon as, like, there's, companies all the time are like, oh, we have a 1-hour webinar to learn about this program with AI. And you're like, or it's like, or chatbots. And you're like, dang, what's a chatbot? Like, and you're just trying to figure out what all these things are. So like I'm constantly taking those classes. I'm always reading books that have to do with, business and scaling, or mindset is huge too. Like, you're always going to be listening to, or, book audios are huge for me, especially when I'm driving like across country or sitting in traffic. So I'm like, or I'm listening to podcasts all the time too. It's just constantly making sure that you're ahead of things, you're in the knowledge of things. And I mean, not everything out there is 100% correct, but I started to notice that like if you listen to enough things, you start to see like the common denominator across like all of them. And then you're kind of like, oh, basically you work really hard and keep educating yourself, keep great attitudes. A lot of it has to do with, like I said, mindset too, and making sure you stay on those positive ways, because like owning your own business, there's so many ups and downs, and it's crazy insane. Like, you could be 100% up one day and the next day it's like everything's just hitting you at every angle, and to stay positive at that point and to keep going like, okay, we're moving forward, we're doing this, like that's huge as well. It has just as much to do as everything else in the business. So
owning a business is a huge mental game, if anything.
Yeah,
and both sides of things.
It's definitely it was funny because with SBN we were talking the other day, because one of our education classes that's going to come out is talking about being an entrepreneur or a linchpin or however you want to call it, but like still being that person that's passionate, but finding a company that you align with, and just being a being that entrepreneur within the business to help that business grow, where you're locked in with that business, but you're not the actual owner. But that's so important to so many business owners and entrepreneurs, because you need both sides. And some people can't do the highs and lows of, the business side of it, like money coming in and money going out and everything hitting you all at once, that you have to go through. So that's like super important as well.
Definitely. And you just spoke about education classes. Is that something you're looking to get into to educate, or is that part of the STEM programs that you guys are offering?
Yeah, so I am chair of Sema Businesswomen's Network. I volunteered, so I started volunteering with Sema Councils and Networks I can't remember. I think it was 2010 is when I started. Um, there was a all-female build that was happening through SBN, which is the SEMA Business Women's Network. And they were building a Mustang, and Ford had recommended to SBN that my sister and I be involved in the build, since we had built so many SEMA project vehicles. And most of the project vehicles we would build each year were for Ford or be in the Ford booth for years. And so we said, yeah, we'll definitely do it. And it was really a cool experience because we had the vehicle at our shop. The vehicle was at our shop and then at Peterson's for like 2 weeks to do some things, and then the rest of it was at our shop. And we had all these different girls coming in, like working on the Mustang with us. And it was just a really cool experience because I was so used to working with guys in the shop all the time. And just seeing like the different dynamics on how they kind of work a little bit different than like our guys work. And so that part was really cool. And then just seeing other girls that were really passionate about being in automotive and doing the same things, you know, that we do. So it got me, after that, my mentor is Mike Spagnola, who is the current president of Sema, but back then he owned Street Scene. He told me, he's like, you need to volunteer, you need to like get out there and, you know, be a part of it. And I was like, okay. So I volunteered with LTAA, which is now Tora, which is the truck side and off-road side. And it was honestly like probably one of the best experiences for me, because I got to meet so many other people in the industry, you know, guys and girls. And it's like hearing their stories or the things that they're going through, and like having other people to talk about your business or talk about like what's happening in the industry, and having those people that you can have the conversations with it's huge. Because when you're a small business and you're like, oh, I'm the only person that's going through this, and then you find out like there's so many other manufacturers, there's retailers, there's, you know, every part of the industry is going through the same thing. But through SEMA, we have education classes that we do all the time. So they're on SEMA's website. You can go back and watch them, or you can sign up for them. They're all free if you're a SEMA member company. But no, that's one of the things that we really love to do on the SEMA side, is making sure we're constantly bringing education. And you mentioned STEM. So yes, I volunteer with STEM programs because obviously I'm very passionate about people being hands-on.
Yeah. Especially at a young age, because that's what a lot of, say in high school, you get a little bit of hands-on, but you don't get the actual hands-on experience that you would get joining the trade, and it kind of gives them a little bit of a path to choose a career on what they're interested in. I think that's amazing that you're helping with that.
Yeah, you know, and it was, for me, like, everybody was always pushing so hard, like, you need to go to college, you need to go to college, you need to go to college and get these, like, degrees. And to me, there was so many tech schools and so many other, like, skilled trades that are really good paying jobs. And, people were passionate about them, but were told not to do them, to go to college instead. And it's like, well, no, you can go to a tech school, you can still get the training and all of it. And I just felt like it was just that message wasn't getting out there. And it's funny because now, like, my goddaughter, she's a senior in high school, and they're pushing more now of tech school and not as much as college. So it's kind of funny how it's kind of flipped, or it's like kind of moving in a different direction. But I'm like, there's so many amazing jobs out there, just not even in the automotive industry.
In the trades in general. When I was in high school, I graduated 3 to 5 years ago. Anyways, when I graduated, they were pushing, it was a little bit of a mix. So you'd have your shop classes, they were like we had really good shops. They put a lot of money into the shops to help us learn as much as we could. And we got stuck with COVID, but they were trying to bring in companies that would get you kind of be an apprentice right out of high school and get hands-on experience from straight out of high school. But then you'd have the other side of things where the teachers would push, post-secondary. So it was a little bit of a mix, but I think now they're even trying to push trades more because there's such a shortage in workers. We need the tradespeople. They're the people that make the world go round, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like I mentioned earlier, like before you started this, I right now need employees and to try and find, installers that have the skills that I'm looking for. I have a ton of people like, I don't know anything about cars, but I really want to learn. I'll come work for you. And I'm like, I don't have time to train right now. Like, I don't mind doing certain internships at certain parts, but like, I need a skilled installer, and it's super hard to find them.
Definitely.
So yeah, we definitely, and I hear that, like, I literally have told like my outside sales reps that come in, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for an installer and a salesperson. And they're like, oh, get in line, honey. Everyone is. And it's like, man, like, we are so hungry in our industry for these people. And people want to do it. So it's kind of like we need more of that voice of those people going out there and like encouraging them that like it's actually not a bad job to have, and they are good paying jobs.
Definitely. No, for sure. That's a great point, is that we need to get the word out there because we're trying. It's just not getting heard. It's going in one ear, out the other.
Yeah.
And people aren't actually listening.
Yeah.
But if we can not convince, but spread the word to the younger generation, it's going to make a huge difference, especially with a shop like yours where you're doing custom work. That intrigues a lot of younger generation rather than doing brakes on a car. They want to do the custom fun stuff.
Yeah, it is fun, and it's funny, like one of my employees that works for me now, he's been with us for 10 years, but he went to our automotive school that we started at the Fairplex. It's called the LGE-CTS Center of Automotive Arts. It's super long, or AXC. But we started it, and it's a ROP-based high school program that gets you high school credits, and it's at the LA County Fairgrounds in Pomona. And kids go there, and they teach Auto 101 through 104, and then we also have welding now and metal shaping, and then we're opening.
That's awesome.
The next one is going to be auto body and paint. So, but that's
super exciting,
right? Because we took all of the skilled trades out of high school. It's like everyone used to be able to have like woodworking shop or automotive, and they took it all away. And honestly, like I loved those classes because I felt more creative in those classes. I never really thrived that well in English and math and the other classes, but when I was allowed to be creative and like, here, go do this, like
hands-on work.
Yeah, I actually felt like I was accomplishing something and I was proud of it. Me having to write an essay and read a book was not my forte.
Definitely not. And that's where the trades come into a play, is for a lot of people that they don't, I wouldn't say enjoy, but they don't work well with the reading and writing side of things.
Yeah.
They work better with their hands, and they learn better with their hands.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
it doesn't
just
mean that they're not smart. They just have different skill sets, and they thrive in different ways.
Yes, exactly. No, I love that. Can you share a little bit more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture, and what a typical day looks like for you?
Yeah. So right now, I kind of do everything. No. Yeah, so I am the owner, but I kind of look over all aspects, right? Like I have like the scheduling of we're a little bit smaller of a company again, because we were larger and then we kind of scaled down a bit. So for me on a day-to-day basis, it's like I come in, the guys start kind of getting everything ready and moving cars around. They have I'm very like adamant about our schedules, making sure that like they know what's going on. We have our meeting. After that, customers start coming in at that point. So, welcoming customers in and, always having that positive environment, like I said, making sure we go over what, they're looking for, going over the ROs with them. And then from there, just kind of after that, I'm kind of making sure we have all the parts for everything, which we usually always have them beforehand. I don't really like to bring vehicles in that don't have parts in, but sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'm kind of just going through I always write a to-do list at the end of the day of things I need to accomplish or I didn't accomplish the day before that I'm like, okay, these have to get done. So then I kind of
priority.
I go through that list, make sure those things are completed, and then after that, then I'll start answering emails. And after I answer emails, like customers will start coming in and wanting estimates. If they're things that I could, like if they're larger jobs, I'm doing the estimates for them. But and then just making sure I'm constantly reaching out to customers, communicating with customers, whether it's email or text or whatever it is. We constantly go through. If we're busy and we have a lot of estimates coming in, then we're just making sure that those are getting done. But if there's nothing coming in, then we're going through old estimates, especially if if products are going on sale. We'll go through the old estimates and find, okay, what customers were looking for those products. And then we'll do a reach out and say, hey, I know you came in a couple weeks ago looking for this. It is now on sale. Here's a new estimate.
That's awesome.
Let us know if you want us to get it on order. And 95% of the time it's like, oh yeah, thank you. I've been wanting to get that done. And that totally puts it in my price range. So let's go ahead and do it, So kind of just always doing follow-up stuff at that point. By then we'll get jobs. Now we either have, people have left deposits at this point. We're scheduling to make sure they're in. Now before 3:00, I'm trying to make sure that those parts are being ordered or someone's ordering the parts. We have jobs getting lined up, and I'm trying to make sure that we always have a schedule of at least 2 weeks out. I like to always have at least a 2-week out minimum, because then that means we're going to be slow at some point. I don't try to focus just on this week or next week. It's because your week goes by so fast, if you're not making sure you're scheduled at or have jobs continually coming in. So I'm always looking at those things, always looking at numbers, right? Then I'm looking at what our marketing campaigns are, what things are selling really well in the marketplace right then. I mean, I'm a huge, I'm very into forecasting. So I'm okay, right now, people are going to be camping more. So overlanding stuff is huge. Tons of people are going to start going to the river. So hitches, because people, it's graduation and beginning of summer. So anything that has to do that I know I sell really well right now, I'll start making sure that all of our marketing campaigns start pushing. And then I'm looking also at all of the brands. They'll tell us oh, these are sales that are coming up within the next month, and you can push for this to this. So we need to make sure the marketing is getting done for that, on our email pushes and our social media pushes, whether it's through Google, we push Google ads, Instagram and Facebook are our biggest ones because they meet most of our demographic. And then I'm kind of then looking at I don't know, well, at that point it's kind of the end of the day, but
It sounds like you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, but it's you're constantly, unfortunately, as a business owner, you do have a lot on your plate. And it's funny because sometimes during the day, I won't do the crazy work that, I need to concentrate on, because you're going to get constant interruptions, right? So usually it's like either before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. I'm staying after, and then that's when I'm doing all the like looking at accounting stuff, looking at numbers, making sure things are entered in correct, like going through like the hard stuff. So it is a lot. I'm not going to say that it's not a lot. It's a lot. And and I wake up every morning at 5:30, and the first thing I do is I'm already listening to either like some type of coaching or some type of positive podcast or some book that is like sets my mindset for the day, so that
gets you going for the day.
Yeah, right? Because like by the time you get to work, it's like everything just starts coming at you and you're
shooting
like,
at you a different direction. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
No, I do the same thing. Honestly, it makes a huge difference. If you can put something positive on say your drive to work, it makes a huge difference to just the day. I found that out as well. I love doing that.
Yeah.
But no, you're quite a busy woman, but that comes with owning a business, obviously.
Yeah.
But we spoke a little bit earlier about the skilled trade shortage.
Yes.
What other trends are you seeing in the aftermarket automotive industry?
Oh, so right now, I mean, honestly, it's obviously with all the tariff talk and things like that,
Yes.
like that's huge.
That's affecting everyone, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of interesting because I'm finding out how many companies I work with that some of them I already knew were American-made products because they're more like smaller companies that are local or like, so I knew that they were American-made products, but some right now like finding out that there's certain brands out there that I was like, yeah, there's no way they're American-made product, and I'm finding out that they are. So that's really interesting. And then also just playing the dynamic, like right now we have customers' vehicle like parts that we're waiting on, and we've already been waiting 2 months for their parts to show up, and there's containers sitting at port or not in port yet because those people have to pay the tariffs to get the containers, and they didn't factor those in. So now I'm not getting my product, and so this kind of stuff is affecting us too, where I'm like having to make those phone calls to those customers to let them know, like, hey, this is where we're at. Do you want to change your rims to something else? Like, we've been waiting 2 months, but what do you want to do? And so that part's hard for us too, because when you've already sold somebody on something and they were excited about something, and then now you have to get them excited about something else, or move them into, a different style, like, so now it's like, and I usually do this beforehand, but not always. I usually try to find out what's in stock first, then sell the customer on what's actually in stock at the manufacturers, because then we are in this thing where we're constantly waiting, and then the customer's like, where's my stuff? And it's just, it doesn't always play into like the best customer service. But unfortunately, if a customer is set on something and we have to wait for it, then we have to wait for it, and that's fine. But right now, that trend with the tariffs is going to just be interesting, just to see how it plays out and how it affects everyone.
Definitely, no, it's definitely affecting everyone in a different way. COVID was a big trend that made everyone think differently, and this is going to be another one of those things that's going to change the direction of companies. The ones that can figure out how to survive in this trend, they're going to be the ones that are going to really excel. Yeah. But I think there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to struggle as well.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of the companies, like, a lot of us got through COVID, and that was stressful. And then it was stressful because even during COVID, it was like everybody panicked because all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, everything is shut down, right? And they were like, how are we going to get customers? And then in our industry, it ended up being the opposite, where it was like it grew 80%, and it wasn't the fact that they they thought, oh, we're going to be shut down. And all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we have like triple the amount of work that we had before. How are we going to fill these orders? So it became, they were prepared to be one direction and then had to flip to another direction. And it was an overwhelming, and it became a positive when everyone was so focused on the negative. And it was a really hard like time for everyone to kind of figure out how that looked and how to like negotiate or navigate all of the trends or what was happening. And I kind of have a feeling that like this is going to be the same thing, where it's going to be really hard because some brands are going to have to that struggle with the tariffs, and then there's going to be other brands that like they're like, okay, I don't know how this is going to look, how we're going to navigate this. But the ones that are already, you know, making American-made products, learning how to navigate that as well. So I feel like it's just going to bring a lot of different things, and I'm hoping in the long run that it, you know, it helps, you know, our country. And I'm trying to, you know, like hopefully we stay positive on this, and this is something that like it does, because like we said, we're sitting here talking about skilled trades and talking about our companies and our businesses, and of course it's like we want those people to come back, and we want to be able to like have that back here. But I understand like it's going to affect pricing, it's going to affect things, and so I'm interested to see how it plays out. But
definitely,
I feel positive in the long run, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
it's definitely tough to comprehend right now, and to figure out kind of how to change the business to adapt to it.
Yeah.
But I think that's with every aspect in business, right? There's going to be change, there's going to be trends, there's going to be changes that you have to adapt to, and it's just part of building yourself as an entrepreneur, and becoming a better entrepreneur every single day, and learning different ways to deal with things.
Yep.
So I have one question for you.
Yes.
Do you see the demand for custom build vehicles going up or down in the future?
I personally, like, I don't know, it's funny because we've talked about this on the Sema side of things, like, oh, the younger kids really aren't customizing their vehicles. For me, I still see a lot of people that are customizing, and they want to make them personal. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that they're customizing their vehicles, and they're like, well, all I do is just put running boards because I want to be able to get into it, and I just put a lid on there because I want my stuff to be safe, and I just change out my floor mats because I don't want my car to get dirty, and I just want, you know, and it's like all these little things, and you're like, yeah, you're making your vehicle custom to you and your needs and what you want. And I know those are all like super simple things, but I mean, I'm still seeing that like people getting excited, and we're getting, I mean, we still get tons of phone calls, and you know, I don't really see it not happening. I don't see people driving around stock cars. I think people get excited about it, you know, like.
Definitely. No, especially if you drive in your own vehicle, it's your own personalized, you build it for yourself. You build it so you can show people what you enjoy, what you like, and you build it that you like it. And it just, and it's your car. You got to make it look nice, and it makes you feel good driving a nice vehicle. That's how I describe it.
When we're in California, so it's like most people are in their cars more than they are in their own homes, in their own beds, you know? So it's like, yeah.
No, that's awesome. It's it's definitely one of those things that I agree with you. I think it's gonna keep going, like, even with the EV and everything, it's people are still gonna find a way to tweak and make changes and make customization. Like, you're still gonna have wheels, you still have wheels, you still have paint. You can probably do a little change with the batteries and stuff to make it go a little faster, but who knows? That'll be another different trend
out there, like Sportline. They just accessorize Teslas. That's all they do. I mean, and he has an amazing company, and all they do is Teslas, and that's it. So it's like, I don't think that just because it's an EV that it's going to be going away. And it's funny because, I mean, look at how many OEs now are making cars that are technically custom. I mean, if you look at the Ford Raptor or the Bronco or the Jeep or like, Chevy has the AEV Bison, like there's so many vehicles, or Toyota has the TRD. All these companies that are coming from the factory are coming already customized, and the OEs are seeing that these people want a custom vehicle. They want a vehicle that is already customized and ready to go. And those people, you think, oh, that's going to hurt like us as the aftermarket to not be able to sell them something because they're already getting a car that has everything on it. But those people actually get more excited and they add on more things to their vehicles. So it's like, the Bronco and the Raptor, and the Jeep. Actually, the Jeep is the most customized vehicle in the U.S. It's like 80% of Jeep owners customize it.
I can see that.
So, yeah, I don't see it going away anytime soon, especially since OEs are so interested in it and they keep adding stuff to they have whole divisions for that now. So, yeah, I totally see customizing growing.
No, definitely. I think that's a huge trend that's going to stick around, and I really don't think it's going to stop. People need to personalize their vehicle, and that's what some people get really excited about, so they have to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's been working well for you guys? Are there specific strategies or approaches that have led you guys to success, especially with, obviously, the tariffs isn't going to help anything, but before the tariffs, what's kind of helped lead you guys to success, building Sema builds for other companies, kind of doing the more restoration side of things?
I mean, for us in anything, once you develop a customer, keeping that relationship with that customer super strong, constantly making sure that you're staying in front of them and reaching out to them, because the easiest person to always resell on is someone that you've already sold something to, right?
And done some great work for.
Yeah, so for us, it's like making sure we're constantly communicating with our customers, keeping in touch with them, constantly reaching out to them and making sure they don't forget about us. But I mean, customer service and being in front of people is constantly what works best for us. It's such an easier ask to be like, oh, I've seen it's been a couple months. How's the truck going? How's the SUV going? Just constantly it doesn't have to be like, hey, you need some more parts, it's just like, oh, hey, just wanted to check how everything's going, how's your Silverado, is
Make sure everything's
going
running
good?
properly.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Actually, I was just talking about the other day, my friend wanted something. Oh, cool, we would love that recommendation. Oh, yeah, can I give you his number, and can you reach out to him? Yes, we would love to do that. So it's like, those kind of things are the easiest thing, and I think that's where we try to make sure that we're constantly doing it. Of course, we need new customers, but making sure we retain that relationship with our old customers, even if it's in like, Sema builds and things like that, it's important because there's so many different options that they can go with. You want to make sure that you're the one they think of first.
Definitely. No, that's a huge aspect to anything. If you do a really good job for someone and they're super happy with everything you did, they love the vehicle.
Yep.
If they have another vehicle they want to build, they're going to come straight to you, no doubt about it, because they have trust in you, and that's the biggest thing. If your customers can trust you, especially in a customizing field, if they can trust you to build the vehicle that they have always dreamt of, that's the biggest aspect there.
Definitely.
What are some of the future goals for the next 6 to 12 months for the company? Are you looking to venture into further paths?
For the company, so we're launching a new website, hopefully in the next week or so. So that one, we wanted an easier checkout, a better customer experience on that as well, because our website was not easy to check out on. We want something wanted something that was a little easier to navigate and have more of a place where people could come for resources and not just to purchase parts. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been a lot of work. We're gonna launch it soon, but we're gonna keep adding to it as we go. And then also in the next probably like 8 months or so, we're looking to I'm gonna say 8 months to a year, expand and get a larger unit in the same complex as us to move to have a larger area to do installs. So I'm gonna need those
Okay.
employees. No. And then expand our showroom a little bit more. And we're trying to offer in-house education, so not like in the actual skilled trade side of it, but like in May we're doing like a rugged radio class for our customers. So we want to be able to offer more things for our customers as well, so they just have more experiences than just the purchasing experience. So that's what we're hoping to move into.
That's amazing. Just so they can learn, if say they're not automotive they don't have background in automotive, they can learn a bit more about vehicles themselves.
Yeah.
That side of thing.
Yeah, we've done
That's awesome.
Auto 101 classes, which is just understanding your suspension. So when you're out there off-roading and you break something, how are you going to do a trail fix to get your vehicle off there? Because, you still want to go out and do it. And there's lots of like great people that do things like Charlene Bauer. She does like Ladies Off-Road Network, and they teach like, Recovery 101, and they teach like, changing your wheels and tires and like all sorts of different stuff. We don't teach all of that stuff. We used to do more classes like that, but I want to get back into doing that. And then like the rugged radio, it's like we always go out in these groups and everyone has different radios, no one knows how to set the channels and communicate correctly and knowing what the laws are. So all of that kind of stuff is just, we want to make sure we educate our customers so that when they're purchasing products from us, they're also getting the acknowledge that they need to use the product correctly.
And not like you said, when they're out driving around, they're following the rules. That's one of the biggest things as well, because I bet you a lot of people go off-roading and they don't realize, I guess, it'd be off-roading. They don't realize there's actually rules to it.
Yep.
That they have to follow, because say they crack their oil pan, there's oil leaking everywhere because they get hung up on a rock or something.
Yeah.
And they just leave it. That's a huge aspect, that you can't just leave all
Right.
that oil spilled there. So
exactly.
that would be that's a huge thing. I think just educating your customers in general about anything is the biggest thing you can do as a business owner, because that helps attract them to your company. Oh, you're teaching us how to do this, you're teaching us how to do that. I think we can trust you. Give us our vehicle, and I think you're going to do a great job with it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Who was your biggest role model in your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, my parents were always my biggest role model.
Definitely.
They're probably the ones that helped me the most in everything that I did. Constantly teaching me the business side, and my dad always teaching me the hands-on side. Besides my parents, I would say Mike Spagnola was probably the second biggest outside my parents. We would build vehicles for him, but he's such a passionate person about the industry and getting young people into it. He was always telling me like, oh yeah, you're doing so good, blah, blah, blah. And he would always give me advice. And whenever he would give me advice, I always made sure I did it. So yeah, I think like those would probably be like my big, like my parents obviously the most, but Mike for outside of a family member.
That's amazing. When you have a mentor that can kind of push you in the direction that you need to go to help you out, and always give you guide in a positive way, not putting you down obviously, but in a positive way, and give you some advice to help grow your business. That's one of the biggest mentors you can have.
Yeah.
For sure. And everyone's parents are their mentors. Yours did a huge step for you by you and your father building vehicles together, and him helping you obviously join businesses, and now you still supporting his company. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I have one more question about challenges in the company, and then I have a couple more little questions about your automotive journey. As you navigate the current challenges facing LGE-CTS, what do you see as the most pressing setbacks or pain points, and how are you addressing these issues? Other than tariffs, obviously.
Well, for me, my biggest challenge is employees. I think that's for every business owner, but right now for me, finding qualified people to come and work and is my biggest challenge, period. And I know that's a lot of other people's in our industry too. So the other stuff, like the day-to-day stuff, that's always going to be challenging. That's not going to go away, because as you grow, you just get new challenges, which is great. You want new challenges. You're going to have new issues. That means you're moving forward. That means you're growing. So that's how I look at those. Like, yeah, it's a challenge, but that means something else that used to be a challenge to me before is not a challenge to me anymore, because I've learned it and I've grown in that section, and now I have new challenges because we're growing. So I look at those as blessings, and that we want those to happen, but the employee thing is probably my biggest challenge, finding people that are knowledgeable, that want to work, to want to show up and have the same values that we have, and that we want that passion into a car, because I'm very picky about the builds that we like. My guys probably tell me I'm a little too picky sometimes, but I'm out there like, nope, it needs to be like this. I don't like this gap. I want it like this,
Yeah.
But I want those people that are just as passionate about getting a car out that is in the absolute best condition we can provide. And so, yeah, definitely that is probably where.
For sure, no, and it's your name that's on it for the masses as well. So it kind of has to be prim and proper for the masses to see it. Obviously, you don't want to send something out that isn't up to your standard and not up to the crowd standard as well.
And people are
and I find it so hard
for it, and
for sure they're paying for good work to get done, and they want to see good results. I find it super hard to believe that a custom company like yours is struggling to find employees, because that would be, I feel like that's every mechanic's dream, is to work on custom vehicles and build vehicles. But
it's like,
maybe
well,
that's
fine,
just
I'm
me.
sending my way, okay?
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. So looking back on your journey in the automotive space, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned, and what advice would you give to entrepreneurs entering the automotive space right now?
The most important lessons I learned is find other people in the automotive space that you can connect with, that you can become friends with, or, find a mentor. For me, the big thing is that when things become challenging, especially like in your job, and you start to tell like family members or friends, like, I'm going through this challenge, a lot of people don't see that automotive is actually somewhere like you can be like financially stable, you can have a good career, a solid, great career, and they don't get it, and they try to direct you into a different, segment or somewhere, another industry, right? So I think it's always so important to have other people that are in your industry that you can connect with. And that's someone that and I like the fact that I have people that aren't even just local to me, that they're all over the US and, other places, because when you're having that hard time of going through something, they're like, oh yeah, girl, I've been going through that too, or, oh my God, yes, we have those same issues at our shop. And so, and I found that through volunteering, because I'm now, I used to say I would only be this shop on, Cienega Avenue or Allen Avenue, and I would only have this many customers or this many people that I know. But when I started volunteering, I started meeting all sorts of people in the industry and talking to people about, oh, I own a family-owned company. Oh my gosh. And no matter what size their family-owned company was, they were going through the same challenges my family-owned company was going through. now being the sole owner of the company, I have people I can talk to. And to me, that's always huge. So I'm always telling, like, especially younger people that are coming into it, I'm like, find people in the industry that can be mentors. Like, I'll be your mentor. I can recommend people that can be your mentor because they have the background that you're striving for. But it's so important to have someone that you can call at any time and be like, hey, business is slow for us. Is it slow for you? Oh, I'm dealing with this right now. Oh yeah, we're dealing with it too. Oh, this just hit us. How are you guys dealing with it? So just being able to have those friendships and those connections, I highly recommend to anybody, and connecting with others.
For sure. No, that's the biggest that's another thing in any industry. If you have someone to look up to, you have someone to talk to see what's going on in the industry, to talk about the trends and kind of maybe they're a little bit further in their company. Hey, how did you do this? Oh, we just did this. I can give you a hand with it. And it just in life in general, if you have someone walking beside you, it's a lot easier to get through something than than having no one. So
yeah,
I think
mean,
that's some great advice.
Stupid too. It's like I was getting nailed on like credit card processing stuff. I called another retail shop, a friend that owns a retail shop in on the East Coast, and they're like, oh, we use this program and this is who we use and blah blah blah. And then I called another person that is in Colorado. Oh, this is what we use and this is what we use. And by the time I talked to everybody, I was like, okay, this is the ones that seem to be what people are using. And some people are like, I have no idea. When you find out, let me know, So being able to make those phone calls or to make those things like in any aspect is so big.
It's just like having a smaller community around you. You're all in the same fight together.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I have one more question.
Okay.
If you could go back to when you started your company, what advice would you give yourself?
I think that's a good one. I don't know. That's a really hard question. I don't know because I don't really regret any of the choices that I've made.
No, for sure. You don't need to answer it.
Yeah, but I guess too, like, obviously it's taken me a while to grow to like where I'm at today. So I guess I would tell myself at a younger age to do more of the education, more of the more of the motivational books, more of the things where it's like keeping those, like working more on myself. And I think that's where I would be so that I wouldn't have to go through as many like stressful things that I did when I was younger. Like everything is stress. You can't avoid it, right? But I think knowing mentally that like if I would have started my journey of constantly educating myself all the time, started earlier, I think that would probably be my advice.
No, for sure. That's great advice.
Yeah.
I think for everyone waits, right? They always wait to get into something. They're like, okay, I'll do that next week. Next week shows up. Okay, I'll do that next year. Next year shows up. And they keep waiting. But I think if people start taking action, that's the best decision you can make to move forward and just then you know if it worked or not. And if it didn't work, you bring it back and you try again a different way. So that's some great advice. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. That was amazing.
Yeah, I totally loved it. Thank you for having me.
No worries.